Last month my husband grew gentler, saying, "Rest more, you deserve peace." I thought he'd changed, until the kids mentioned Miss Alana, the woman who knew his favorite songs. Then I found his secret phone, full of calls, photos, and dreams with her. I texted, "Congrats, you're the dumbest cheater alive." 3 weeks later he came home to nothing but a note. "Not this time." Can you even fathom the kind of betrayal that makes you question your entire reality? I thought I knew my husband, the father of my children, but then I found his secret phone and discovered he'd been living an entirely different life with another woman, while I was falling apart at home. Honestly, I've been holding this in, trying to process it, and if I don't get it out, I feel like I'm going to scream into the void. Or worse, just start yelling at strangers in the Target parking lot. And believe me, I'm not even exaggerating. I just need to tell you everything, all the messy, ugly details, because I need to know if I'm going absolutely insane, or if this is truly as bad as it feels. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Joanna. I'm 29, a mom to 2 amazing kids. My daughter is 7, my son is 5. And I'm married to Hunter, who's 31. Up until recently, I guess you could say he was functional. We weren't exactly couple goals, you know? But it was stable-ish. We had our routines, our dumb little fights about laundry mountains and who forgot the milk. Even after I'd literally texted him about it, we'd scroll our phones silently over dinner. It was just life. Our families are close by. His side, they're always in our business. My side, they're nosy too, but it's more the "I'll bring you soup when you're sick" kind of nosy. We're not rich, we're not struggling. We just do okay. That's just for context. Then, about a month ago, Hunter started acting weirdly nice. Not the romantic, "let's go on a date" kind of nice. No, this was strategic. Suddenly, he was waking up before me, making the kids breakfast. "Stay in bed, Joe," he'd say. "I'll handle drop-off. You deserve a break." And I remember thinking, okay, I'm not complaining, but this is the guy who once claimed he didn't know how the toaster worked. Maybe he'd seen some TikTok about being a better husband? I didn't want to jinx it. I even told my sister, Amber. She's always suspicious of everything. She just half-joked. "Maybe he finally realized you were about to snap if you had to clean one more lunchbox." I laughed. I really wanted to believe her. But it kept escalating. He'd say things like, "Don't worry about the house, I'll take care of it later." Or, "I'll get the groceries, you relax." Part of me should have been thrilled, right? But it just felt off. This wasn't Hunter. He was the do it but be grumpy about it guy. You know the type. Plus, he was suddenly super chill about everything, letting the kids have extra screen time, not fussing about bedtime. And get this, he stopped grilling me about what I spent at Target. That was suspicious in itself. Then I started noticing the smaller, unsettling things. He always had his phone on him, but now it was always on silent. He'd be laughing at something on it, but couldn't explain what if I asked. Once I heard him singing in the car, windows up, and realized he was playing some obscure song from 2012 that he'd never liked, never even had on his playlists. His mood was better, way better than it should have been for someone who hated his commute and acted allergic to basic chores. I brought it up to Amber again. She said, half joking, "Maybe he's cheating." I rolled my eyes. "With who?" "He's either home at the gym or driving the kids. He's not the type." Or so I thought. But then the seed was planted. If he wasn't seeing someone, was he at least talking to someone? I hated that I was becoming that person, the paranoid wife. But honestly, it felt like he was living in a whole different vibe. Then the kids started saying weird things. My daughter came home one day. "Miss Alana let us have marshmallows in our hot chocolate." I asked, "Who's Miss Alana?" She said, "She's at school sometimes and she knows Daddy's favorite songs." My son chimed in, "Miss Alana's hair is purple and she has tattoos. Daddy says it's cool." That night I asked Hunter, "Who's Alana?" He barely looked up from his phone. "Just a teacher's assistant. Don't overthink everything." I let it go, but it bugged me. I texted one of the other moms. She replied, "No idea, but maybe someone knew at aftercare? I'll ask my kid." The next day, no other kid mentioned an Alana. Just mine. So I started watching him more closely. He was out of the house more often, running errands, always busy. He was suddenly into new music, new phrases, using words I'd never heard him use before. Like he'd downloaded a whole new personality. We'd been together for 10 years. I knew this guy. I'd ask him to help with something and he'd be all smiles. "I've got it." I'd ask if he was okay. "Never better," he'd say. I honestly felt like I was losing my mind. Fast forward to last Friday. I was already late for soccer snacks. I grabbed his keys, ran out to the car. Our car. We only had one. I was looking for his water bottle. The glove box was a mess, so I reached in and my hand hit something weird. It was a phone. Not his phone. A whole other phone. I thought maybe it was old, but it turned on. And it wasn't locked. My hand started shaking. It had like 3 months of messages. The top ones were all from someone called Alana. With a heart emoji. I scrolled. I saw a photo. It was her. Purple hair, tattoos, smiling with my kids at the playground. My breath caught in my throat. I scrolled more. There she was with Hunter in the car, him smiling, her hand on his arm. Texts about "can't wait for our weekend," and finally starting over with the right person. Stuff about, "once we tell Joanna, it'll be real." I felt like I was going to throw up. Right there in the driveway. I took photos of the messages with my own phone. I wasn't even thinking, just moving. On autopilot. I scrolled back further. And there it was. Messages from him talking about me. "She's so tired, she won't notice anything." And, "I feel trapped, but you make me feel alive." I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something. But I couldn't. The kids were in the house. So I just sat there in the car staring at that phone. I went back inside, pretending nothing was wrong. Hunter walked in all smiles. "Kids ready?" he asked. I just nodded. My hands were still shaking. I wanted to slap him. I wanted to scream in his face. I didn't. I waited until he was in the shower. Then I sat on the toilet lid and texted him. On his real phone, not the secret one. I typed, "Found the phone. Found the photos. Found the messages. Congrats. You're officially the world's dumbest cheater." He didn't reply at first. Then a text came through. "You always ruin things. I was going to tell you when it was the right time." I nearly dropped my phone. I walked into the kitchen. He came out, towel around his waist, all casual. Asked if I wanted tea. I just stared at him. "Are you serious right now?" He said. "Don't make this a scene." I replied. "You made it a scene." He said. "You never listen. You're always tired." I shot back. "Because I do everything." He then said. "You never let me be myself." "What?" I scoffed. "Yourself is a liar. You're being dramatic," he said. I picked up his secret phone and threw it at the counter. It bounced, landed on the floor. He picked it up like it was nothing. I wanted to slap him. Still I didn't. He walked past me, bumped my shoulder. I shoved him back. He grabbed his keys and left. The kids were in the living room watching Paw Patrol. They didn't see. I texted Amber. She replied, "Come over. Bring the kids. Mom's here. We'll figure it out." I replied, "Not yet. I need to think. I need to breathe." I didn't cry. I just paced, counting spoons in the drawer, like if I could just do something normal, this wouldn't be real. For the next 2 hours, Hunter didn't come back. No text. No call. Then I got a message from an unknown number. It just said, "You're making this harder than it needs to be." I blocked it. I called my mom. "Can you come over?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Of course, sweetie. Do I need to bring anything?" she asked. "Just yourself," I said. Mom showed up with cookies like that was going to fix anything. She sat at the table, just asked, "What happened?" I told her everything. She didn't say, "Leave him," or "Work it out." She just said, "I'm here. Whatever you need." I wanted to hug her, but I just sat there, hands on the table, still shaking. I heard Hunter's car outside. He walked in, saw my mom, stopped in the doorway. Looked at me, then at her. "This is private," he snapped. Mom just looked him dead in the eye and said, "Not anymore." He rolled his eyes. "You're overreacting." I stood up. "You don't get to talk to me like that." He said, "You're ruining the kids' lives." I shot back. "You already did that." He tried to walk past me. I stepped in front of him. He pushed past me. I shoved him back. Mom stood up, her voice firm. "Enough." He grabbed his coat and stormed out. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept thinking. How long? Why? I reread the text looking for clues, like if I could just find the right message it would all make sense. It didn't. It was all just him and her pretending I didn't exist. The next morning he was gone before we woke up. Left a note. Need space. Don't do anything stupid. I actually laughed. An actual loud laugh. Is this a joke? I ate 2 stale granola bars. Texted Amber that I was coming over later. I packed the kids' stuff. I told them we were having a sleepover at Auntie's. My daughter, with that innocent look, asked, "Will Daddy come?" I said, "Not tonight." I spent the whole day floating above my own life. At Amber's the kids were playing. She brought me wine at noon. I showed her the photos. She just stared. Holy, this is bad. I didn't say anything. I just scrolled over and over like maybe I'd missed some other sign. She asked, "What are you going to do?" I replied, "I don't know yet, but I'm not letting him get away with this. Not after everything." She just nodded. Good. Mom called, asked if I was okay. Sort of, I said. Later, Hunter texted. When are you coming home? I left him on read. He called. I didn't answer. He texted. You're being childish. I texted back. You don't get to call me that. He said, let's talk. I replied, talk to your girlfriend. He didn't reply after that. That night, Amber said, stay as long as you want. Thanks, I mumbled. I heard the kids laughing in the other room. I looked at them and felt just tired. Not sad, just done. I texted myself just so I wouldn't forget. Not this time. I mean it. So yeah, that's where I was. I knew I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. I kept thinking, what did I miss? But mostly, I just wanted him to feel half of what I was feeling. I wanted him to know he screwed up the one person who actually had his back. I wanted to break something. I wanted to make him regret every smug little smirk he ever gave me. Like I was some idiot who couldn't see what was right in front of her face. I didn't know what happened next, but I knew I wasn't letting this go. Not this time. If you made it this far, thank you. I don't know if I'm even asking for advice or validation. I just needed to say it out loud. I guess the next update will probably be a mess, but I promise you I'm not rolling over. If you've been here, please tell me how you made it through without just burning everything down. I'll update if and when I do something drastic. Trust me, it'll be worth it. Alright, so here we are for the first update. I guess you could call this the revenge part, but honestly, it's way more exhausting and weird than I thought it would feel. If you don't believe this happens to real people, I get it. I wouldn't have, either. But this is as real as it gets, and it just keeps getting more unhinged. So here's what happened after that first night. I stayed at Amber's, my sister, for the new folks joining with the kids. Her house isn't huge, it's pretty cramped, but at least I wasn't constantly on edge there. At this point, I was running on pure spite and caffeine. I barely slept. Amber let me use her laptop to change all my passwords, joint stuff, social media, even my food delivery apps, because I honestly didn't trust him not to be petty. I didn't want to go nuclear right away, but the more I scrolled through those messages on his secret phone, the more I wanted to set his entire life on fire. So, I did the next legal thing. I froze the joint account. Not in some wild, illegal way, just took my half. Told the bank we were separating. It was a normal process. I left enough for bills. I wasn't playing games with the kids' stuff, but I moved my half to a new separate account. I didn't care if he was mad. I told Amber, I'm not letting him use my goodwill to buy flowers for his side chick. End of story. I didn't tell him right away. I wanted to see what he'd do. Instead, I texted him that the kids were with me, they were safe, and to let me know if he wanted to call them. He left me on read. Hours went by, nothing. And then suddenly he was blowing up my phone. Calls, texts, voice notes, all in a row. One minute he was apologizing, the next he was furious, saying I was taking things too far. He said I was overreacting, punishing him for being unhappy. I just texted back, talk to your girlfriend. He sent a thumbs up emoji. I wanted to throw my phone, but it wasn't even mine, it was Amber's old one. Then out of nowhere he showed up at Amber's place. Like he literally walked up and started ringing the doorbell non-stop. Amber's dog went nuts. I peeked through the blinds and he was out there in his ratty hoodie, pacing back and forth like he was about to kick the door in. I told the kids to stay in the back room, and Amber opened the door. You need to leave, she told him. He said he just wanted to talk to me, that he deserved a conversation. Amber said. Not happening, and tried to close the door. He put his hand out, pushed the door back open and started raising his voice. I walked up behind her and said, "If you don't leave, I'm calling your mom." His mom, not mine, which was a pretty effective threat. He muttered something under his breath, shoved the door, then left. He slammed his car door so hard I swear the whole block heard it. After that, his calls shifted from "let's work this out" to "you're ruining the kids' lives." He tried to guilt trip me, saying I was making things harder than they needed to be, that I needed to think about the family and stop being vindictive. I sent him copies of the photos from his secret phone. I said, "Want to see what ruining the family really looks like?" He didn't reply. I even forwarded the ones of him and Alana with our kids just to twist the knife. Petty? Yeah. But I didn't care. He called my mom. She didn't answer. He called my dad, who was mostly just confused, and said, "I'm not getting in the middle." I told my parents what happened. Mom said, "Whatever you need will help." Dad said, "Just don't make it ugly for the kids." I just replied, "Too late." Then his parents got involved. His mom called me, all innocent, asking if we could sit down and talk this through. I asked her, "Did you know about Alana?" She said, "That's not the point. You shouldn't take the kids away." I replied, "They're not your bargaining chips." She hung up. His dad texted me, saying he was disappointed in how I was handling things. The next morning I called the school. I didn't make a spectacle. I just asked if they had a policy about who could pick up the kids. The secretary said, "Only people on the list." I asked, "Can you make sure Hunter can't pick them up without me?" She asked if everything was okay. I just said, "Just a family thing, nothing dramatic." She said, "We'll update the file." Then I asked if there was an Alana working there. She said, "No one by that name." I hung up and my stomach dropped. So who was she really? Just some random woman he met somewhere? Not even a legitimate teacher's aide. I texted my mom friend, asked if she knew anything. "Never heard of her," she replied. "But I'll ask around at pickup." Nothing. The days started to blur. Hunter kept texting. Sometimes he was all caps. Sometimes he was weirdly calm. Sometimes he sent voice notes that were just heavy breathing. I ignored him. I heard from a mutual friend, not even that close, Martin, who mostly just reposts memes in group chats, that Hunter had been telling people I lost it, that I was unstable. I told Martin the truth. He replied, "Damn, wasn't expecting that," but then added, "Doesn't want to take sides." Typical. Amber's house was chaos. The kids were confused. They kept asking when we were going home. I tried to keep things normal: pancakes, walks to the park. I even let them watch extra TV. At one point my daughter asked, "Did Daddy do something bad?" I just said, "Grown-up problems, honey. Not your fault." She just shrugged and said, "Can we have waffles tomorrow?" I replied, "Sure, why not?" Then out of nowhere Hunter's sister Kate texted me a long message about how I was tearing the family apart, and how Hunter wasn't happy for a long time, and I never saw it. She even said, "You always made him feel small. You never let him be himself." I almost laughed. I replied, "You don't know anything about our marriage." She sent a thumbs down. I blocked her. I told Amber. She just said, "Screw them all." Later that night, Hunter showed up again. This time he was yelling from the driveway, saying he wasn't leaving until I talked to him. Amber called my dad. "Can you come get him?" My dad, who lives like 5 minutes away, drove over. He walked up to Hunter and just said, "Go home. Hunter, you're not getting anywhere like this." Hunter tried to push past him. My dad put his hand on his chest and said, "Not tonight." Hunter shoved his hand away. My dad didn't even flinch. I watched from the window. I was angry, but I was also kind of proud of my dad. I called the bank to make sure everything was set up. No weird withdrawals. It was all fine. I moved some money to cover the kids' stuff. I texted Hunter, "If you need money for the kids, let me know." He replied, "I'm not a deadbeat." I said, "Prove it." No answer. The weirdest part was how normal some things still were. I was still getting school emails, still had to remember snack day, still had to buy groceries and track down lost socks. But everything felt off, like I was walking through mud. Amber tried to distract me with dumb memes. She made me do a face mask with her, even though I looked like a serial killer in mine. We laughed for a minute, then my phone buzzed. It was Hunter again. I muted him. About a week in, I got an email from the school. The principal wanted to touch base about the kids. I went and sat in her office. She asked if everything was okay at home. I said, "We're separating. There's been some tension, but the kids are safe." She then said, "Your daughter mentioned Miss Alana again, and we're a little concerned." I said, "As far as I know, there's no Miss Alana here." The principal confirmed, "We'll keep an eye out, but no one by that name has ever worked here." I asked if anyone had tried to pick up the kids who wasn't on the list. She said, "Not yet." I left feeling more creeped out than before. That night, Hunter showed up at the house again. This time he didn't even knock. He just stood outside calling my name. "I just want to talk." I opened the window and said, "Go home or I'll call your mom." He cursed, slapped the window frame and stormed off. I slammed the window shut. Over the next few days, his parents kept calling, alternating between guilt trips and let's be reasonable. I sent them the photos from Hunter's secret phone. I said, "You want to know what's happening? Here's your golden boy." His mom called crying, "I can't believe he'd do this." I replied, "Believe it." I started thinking about Alana. Who was she? I looked her up on Facebook. Nothing obvious. Checked Instagram. Same. I even searched my kids' photos in case she'd tagged them somewhere, but nothing came up. I felt like I was chasing a ghost. I texted Hunter. "Who is she really?" He just said, "Drop it." I replied, "Not happening." I was tired of waiting for him to make the next move. I texted him, "You want to see the kids? Set something up through my mom." He replied, "You're making this impossible." I said, "You did that." He sent me a photo of the kids from like 2 months ago. "Remember when we were happy?" I replied, "You threw it away." I heard from Martin again, the meme guy. He said, "Hunter's been telling people I'm unstable, that I took the kids and the money." I replied, "Ask him for screenshots." Martin just sent me a meme of a dumpster fire. I laughed for the first time in days. So now I was at Amber's. Kids were asleep. Amber was watching some dating show on her iPad. I was typing this on her laptop. I felt like I was in limbo, but also like I was finally getting somewhere. Hunter was unraveling. His family was turning on him. And I wasn't backing down. I knew I wasn't perfect. I knew I was tired, maybe even checked out sometimes. But I wasn't cruel. He treated me like a background character in his own little drama, like he wanted to feel young again or something. He thinks I'll cave. That if he just yells loud enough or shows up enough times, I'll give in. But I'm not that girl. Not anymore. So yeah, that's where I was. Not the big dramatic ending, but it was real. He wasn't stopping. But neither was I. I was done being the one who keeps the peace. I wanted him to know he lost and it was all his own fault. If you're reading this, thanks for sticking with me. I'll update when the next thing blows up because it will. Trust me, I was just getting started. And if you've ever been here, let me know how you kept your sanity because this was wild. Alright, so if you thought my last update was peak chaos, buckle up because apparently my life decided to become a combo of the worst reality show and the most awkward group chat ever. I was still at Amber's. Kids were still asking when we were going home and I was still running on caffeine and honestly pure rage fumes at this point. This week though it got way messier. I'm starting to think Hunter had lost all sense of self-preservation. Maybe he thought if he just kept pushing I'd fold. But no, I wasn't built like that anymore. If anything, every time he tried something I got more stubborn. So here's the latest. And there's a lot. Sorry in advance, this is a long one. The first weird thing. My phone battery started draining stupid fast. I thought it was just because my kid kept sneaking it to play games, but then I realized my call log was full of missed calls from random numbers real late at night too. I'd block one and another would pop up. They weren't even leaving voicemails, just hanging up. Honestly, I was a little creeped out. Not scared, just incredibly annoyed. I told Amber. She suggested, "Maybe it's Hunter getting friends to call you." I replied, "If it is, they're all cowards because no one ever says a word." Then on Tuesday, I was at the grocery store with my son, and I saw Hunter's car in the lot. I almost skipped the produce aisle just to avoid a scene, but he never came inside. I texted him short and sweet. Do not follow me. He didn't reply. Later that night, Amber said he'd messaged her, asking when I'd be reasonable. So the next day I was trying to be normal. Dropped the kids off, came back to Amber's, made coffee, scrolled social media. And there it was. A friend request from someone named Alana. Profile picture was a close-up. Purple hair, same eyes as in those playground photos. Her bio was just a string of emojis. Nothing useful. No mutuals. I let it sit. 2 hours later she sent a DM. Hey, can we talk? I swear I didn't know everything. I just stared at the screen. What do you even want from me? I didn't reply. She sent another. Not trying to fight. Just want to explain my side. I showed Amber. She immediately said, block her. But I didn't. Not yet. I replied. What do you want to say? She wrote back a wall of text. Basically, she said she met Hunter at the gym, of course. Didn't know he was married at first. He told her we were separated, but living together for the kids, and that I was cold to him for years. She claimed she only found out about me and the kids after she met them. But he had told her I knew all about her and was fine, just needed time. She said she didn't mean to get in the middle, but by then she caught feelings. I was reading this and my hands were shaking. Not with sadness but with legit rage. I typed back. You knew he had kids. You made them hot chocolate and let them think you were just a teacher's helper. That's not innocent. She replied. I'm so sorry. I believed him. I thought you didn't care. He said you hated him. I just blocked her after that. I didn't need any more of her girl-to-girl energy. I screenshotted the messages, sent them to Hunter with the caption, your mess, not mine. So I figured maybe that was it. Maybe Alana would back off. But the next morning, I got a text from Hunter's mom. It was a group text. Me, her, his dad, and Hunter's sister, Kate. She said, can we please have a family meeting? This is getting out of control. The kids are suffering. Kate chimed in immediately. Joanna, you're being vindictive. He's not a bad dad. Let's work this out. I almost laughed. I replied. Send me one reason why I should ever trust him again. Silence. I went about my day. I had laundry in the dryer. My son was begging for pancakes. Amber was at work. She'd actually left me a note on the fridge. Don't burn the house down, Joe. I was so tired of all of it. I opened the fridge, saw nothing but oat milk and leftovers and just stood there thinking, is this my life now? I heard my phone buzz. It was Hunter calling. I declined. He called again. I finally answered, snapping, what do you want? He said, let's talk in person, just us. I said, not happening. He said, you owe me that. I replied, I owe you nothing. He hung up. That afternoon I was picking up the kids from school. I saw Hunter's car parked a block away. He was just sitting there, windows down, staring at his phone. I ignored him, buckled the kids in, and drove off. Later I got a text. Can I see the kids tomorrow? I replied, set it up through my mom. He said, why do you keep punishing me? I didn't answer. The next day I was at the house for the first time in weeks, just to grab some stuff, kids' clothes, my shoes, random things we'd forgotten. I texted Hunter first, asked him not to be there. But the second I walked in I heard the back door. He was there, just standing in the kitchen, arms crossed. I said, I told you not to be here. He said, it's my house too. I snapped, not today. He tried to block the hallway. I pushed past him. He grabbed my arm. I slapped his hand away. He said, stop making this harder. I said, move. I got to the car, hands shaking, kids already strapped in. They never even went inside, thank God. I drove off, called Amber and said, never letting him near me alone again. She said, want me to come next time? I replied, yes, please. Later that night I got another DM. This time it was from Alana again on a new account. It just said, he's lying to both of us. I'm out. I didn't reply. So Friday, I was at the playground letting the kids burn off energy. Kate, his sister, showed up with her own kid. She walked over like nothing was weird. I braced myself. She said, can we talk? I replied, about what? She said, You're making this harder than it has to be. Hunter's a mess. You're ruining his life. I looked at her. He did that himself, she said. He's your kid's father. You need to be fair. I shot back. He can see them when he stops acting like a psycho. She rolled her eyes. You're always so dramatic, I said. And you're always so desperate to fix other people's lives. She snapped. At least I don't run from problems. I laughed. You run from reality. She glared, grabbed her kid's hand and stormed off. Then the real kicker. Hunter showed up at my work. I'm not even kidding. I was in the parking lot, earbuds in, waiting for Amber to pick me up. I saw him get out of his car. He walked straight up. We need to talk, he said. I pulled out an earbud. Not here. He said. You can't keep dodging me. I replied. Watch me. He tried to stand in front of me, blocking my way. I walked around him. He grabbed my arm. I shoved him hard enough that he stumbled back. Never touch me again. I snapped. He said. You're making a scene. I replied. You're the one in the parking lot. Amber pulled up, saw what was happening, got out of the car and just said, Get in. I hopped in. Hunter tried to stop us, but Amber slammed her door and peeled out. My hands were shaking, but I just laughed. Half out of relief, half out of, is this my life? After that, I got a call from the school. The principal said there was an incident at dismissal. Apparently, Hunter had tried to pick up the kids without being on the list. The staff wouldn't let him. He argued, made a scene and finally left. They told me they were updating the file. Only I, Amber, or my mom could pick the kids up now. I apologized for the drama. They just said, We see this stuff more than you think. Not comforting, but at least they were on it. That night my mom called. Hunter's parents had been calling her nonstop. She said, They're threatening to go to court for grandparent rights. I replied, Let them try. She said, They're just scared. I countered, They should have been scared. Before. She just said, We'll back you up. And I swear the universe just wanted to throw more at me, because as soon as I hung up, I got a group text from Kate, Hunter's mom, and Hunter himself. Kate said, You're destroying this family. Hunter's mom said, I can't believe you're doing this to your kids. Hunter himself just said, I hope you're happy. I sent screenshots of his texts to Alana. I said, This is your boy. Asked him if he was happy. I left the group. I blocked them all. I texted Amber. I'm done with all of them. She replied, Good. Finally. I started paperwork for a legal separation. It wasn't fast, but I wasn't playing anymore. I told Hunter, I'm filing. You'll get served soon. He just said, You're impossible. I replied, So are you. He called me names. I hung up. So yeah, I know this was a mess. I knew my kids would have questions. I knew people would talk. I knew his family was going to get meaner before they got tired. But I wasn't budging. I wasn't letting him rewrite the story just because he was embarrassed he got caught. He could whine to his sister. He could DM Alana. He could stalk my social all he wanted. I wasn't scared anymore. Last bit, because this is getting long. My daughter asked me, Why is Daddy so mad? I said, He made choices that hurt people, and now he's upset about the consequences. She then asked, So we're not going home? I said, Not yet. She just said, Okay. Can I have pancakes tomorrow? I said, Always. Sometimes it really is that simple. So if you made it this far, thanks for listening to my TED Talk of a nightmare. The next update will probably be even messier, because I just started the legal stuff and Hunter's already losing his grip. I'm not sorry. I'm not softening. I want him to feel every bit of what he made me feel and then some. Call me petty. I don't care. I'm done being the reasonable one. I'll update when he finally gets served, or when his family tries to show up with pitchforks, whichever comes first. Until then, I'll be here. Thanks for reading. Seriously, I needed this more than I realized. Alright, so I guess this is the finale. I'm still low-key in disbelief this all happened to me, like I'm some side character in a bad Netflix original, but whatever. Here we are. I should have known the energy was going to get weird when I woke up and my phone showed 17 missed calls. Not just Hunter, but his mom, Kate, random numbers, even a text from Martin, the meme guy from group chat saying, Yo, Hunter's losing it. I just stared at the phone for a second like, is he going to show up at Amber's again? I told Amber, please watch the door. She just rolled her eyes and said, if he tries it, I'm going full home alone on him. So, yeah, things had been awkwardly quiet for like 3 days, which in my world meant something was coming. I'd already started the divorce paperwork. Slow, expensive, annoying, but absolutely necessary. My mom and dad had been helping with the kids, running them to school, making sure I actually ate all of it. I finally got the all clear from my lawyer to go back to the house and get the rest of our stuff. So, I figured might as well just rip the band-aid off. I texted Hunter the night before. Told him, don't be there tomorrow. I'm just grabbing our things. He didn't answer. Fine. Whatever. I rolled up to the house with Amber, my dad, and the kids. I let the kids take their tablets in the car, because I didn't want them seeing whatever mess was waiting. We walked in and it was dead quiet. Weirdly quiet. The kitchen looked like no one had used it in weeks, which tracks because Hunter always expected me to do the groceries. There was a pile of unopened mail, random garbage, a single mug in the sink with what looked like old instant ramen floating around. I just shook my head. Amber helped me pack up the kids' clothes, some toys, my shoes. The dumb little stuff that somehow matters most when you're leaving for real. My dad kept making trips to the car. Didn't say much, just got it done. Then I found the envelope on the dining table. Just my name, nothing else. I opened it and it was divorce papers signed by Hunter. I didn't expect it to hit so hard. I mean, I was already doing my own paperwork, but seeing his signature was like, oh wow. He actually gave up playing the victim for 5 seconds. There was a sticky note on top. It read, you ruined everything. Hope you're happy. I almost laughed. I put it back in the envelope and stuck it in my bag. As we were leaving, I heard a car door slam. Hunter's car, of course. He stormed up the driveway yelling, you can't just take everything. Amber stepped in front of me. Not today, she said firmly. He glared, tried to shoulder past her, but my dad just stood next to her, blocking his way. Hunter stammered, this is my house. I replied, not for long. He was shaking, yelling, you're doing this to spite me. I said, you did this to yourself. He tried to grab my arm, but I slapped his hand away hard. He said, you're insane. I just looked at him. You're pathetic. Amber told him. Back off. He yelled. You made me do this. I replied. You made your own choices. And we drove off. I moved into my parents' spare room that night just for a bit. It's cramped and the bathroom door sticks and the Wi-Fi is trash, but the kids are fine. And for the first time in weeks, I actually slept. Mom made pancakes in the morning. My son asked if we could go home yet. I said, we are home for now. He just shrugged, went back to his tablet. Then the real fun started. Hunter started calling. Not just once or twice, but like all day. When I didn't pick up, he switched to texting. First it was all, can we talk? Then it was, you can't keep the kids from me. Then straight up guilt trips. You're breaking up the family. You're making the worst mistake. You're going to regret this. I blocked him. He used another number. I blocked that too. He started texting not just me but my dad, my mom, even Amber. All the same stuff. You're all against me. You'll regret this. You're poisoning my kids against me. His mom started in again, texting me saying, you need to talk to Hunter. He's not eating. He's not sleeping. He's saying he can't go on like this. I told her if he wants to see the kids, he needs to do it by the book. No more ambushes. She said I was being cruel. I said, ask your son why we're here. The next weekend, Hunter shows up at my parents' house. Just stands on the porch texting me. I can see you in there. Let me in. I just want to see the kids. My dad opens the door. Not today, Hunter. Hunter pushes past him, walks into the living room, starts yelling. You're all against me. How can you do this? I stood up, looked him straight in the eye. You can leave, or I'll call someone to escort you out. He said, I'm not leaving. This is my family. I replied. You gave that up the second you brought another woman into their lives. He tried to slam his hand on the table. My mom just stood there, arms crossed, and calmly said, don't break my table. Hunter looked at her, then at me, then back at my dad. My dad just said, don't make me say it again. Hunter stormed out. That night was rough. My daughter asked if Daddy was mad. I said, "He's upset, but it's not your fault." She asked if we'd ever go home. I said, "This is home for a while." She just said, "Okay." The days after, Hunter went quiet. Too quiet, honestly. Then the paperwork started rolling in for real court dates, custody stuff, all the legal things you never want to read. I kept everything above board. Never talked bad about him in front of the kids. Just told them we were figuring things out. Amber said I should be proud of myself, but honestly I was just tired. My mom kept cooking. My dad kept fixing things around the house. Then another twist. I got a letter from Hunter's lawyer basically saying he wants joint custody, wants the house, wants the car. I actually laughed. I texted him, "You want to play games? Fine, let's play." I sent him screenshots of the messages with Alana. Said, "Good luck explaining this." He replied, "You're heartless." I replied, "You're reckless." The hearing was a nightmare. Not exciting, just long and awkward. His lawyer tried to paint me as unstable for taking the kids out of the house without telling him, completely ignoring the whole affair part. My lawyer asked about the second phone, the messages, the way Hunter tried to pick up the kids from school without permission. Hunter looked pissed the whole time, like he couldn't believe he wasn't getting his way. Kate, his sister, was there just glaring at me. His mom wouldn't even meet my eyes. My parents sat behind me stone-faced.